Well, let's jump into the gene pool, shall we? I do see a Democrat from Chevy Chase, Maryland, the great WMAL. Larry, let me ask you a question before you ask me. May I?
Yeah, absolutely. It's your show.
What is it like living in a town named after a comedian?
You know what? That's been a topic of conversation in the local watering holes, whether or not this place was named after him or whether he took the name because he wanted to have a fine name named after a good, solid, liberal community.
Well, now, Chevy Chase, is that located next to Carrot Top?
No, as a matter of fact, it's not.
Around the corner from Pauly Shore?
No, it's not. There's nothing funny about living here. It's very serious because people here mostly have a vision.
Yes, I know. Liberals are very, very serious all the time. As a matter of fact, they're miserable, as best I can tell. But go ahead, Larry. You had a question. You're a Democrat.
Well, actually,
or a statement.
I just wanted to simply point out, Mark.
Wait a minute. I want to make you more comfortable. May I make you more comfortable?
Please do.
Go ahead. Hit that song. Go ahead, Larry. Country's going to hell. The socialists are taking over. Larry's a happy man. Go ahead, Larry. Lower it a little bit.
Mark, I wanted to point out something that's fairly obvious. It was inevitable that the free market system would fail. Human beings tend to be greedy at their core. And it was inevitable that this land, this utopian country that you paint it to be, was inevitably going to fail. Now, we have been blessed by having this amazing man with a vision for the future to be elected our president. And you need to heed.
Which bureaucracy do you work for, sir?
Which I would rather not say.
Which bureaucracy do you work for, sir?
I work for the Department of Energy.
How did I know that you were a bureaucrat? More music, please, go. And so far, you guys at the Department of Energy have produced exactly nothing. Louder.
Well,
let's dance along, Larry. What do you do there at the Department of Energy? Do you produce energy?
I do not produce energy.
Shouldn't it be called the Department of No Energy? Louder.
We actually leave the energy producing up to the big oil companies.
So what does the Department of Energy do? I said it should be called the Department of No Energy.
Well, we
like the Department of Education should be the Department of Illiteracy.
Well, President Obama actually has a plan.
I know, the Marxist always has a plan. Let me ask you, is it a 5-year plan? Just curious. Louder.
Well, I think his plan, it's going to take some time to clean up President Bush's mess.
Oh, yes. You know how those Bushes are. You know how free enterprise is. You know how those businessmen are. Right, Larry? Louder. So you work at a department, sir, that produces no energy, and it's called the Department of Energy. You live in a town that's called Chevy Chase that's named after a comedian. Life must be really crappy for you.
That is true. It's about ready to get better, Mark, under President Obama.
Yes, I know. Oh, the great Obama.
Yes.
The great Obama. Hold on now. I'm helping you out, brother. The great Obama. It's about to get better. You know why, Larry?
Why is that, Mark?
Less energy, smaller private sector, bigger government. Makes Larry happy. Louder. So, Larry, will you do me a favor when you go to work tomorrow?
Sure. Actually, we have tomorrow off.
What's tomorrow?
Well, they've implemented a new policy. It's part of the 4-day work week plan, and it's
Oh, this is great. 4-week. Oh, I love this.
It's fantastic, actually.
It really is. And we should all work for the mothership.
Yeah, it's fantastic. It's a flex schedule, and hopefully all government agencies will help out traffic in the D.C. area.
Oh, I know. It's a good thing. Just work 4 days. The rest of us work 6. That's a good thing, right, Larry?
Yeah, I mean, if you've ever been to France, Mark, you can appreciate the 4-day work week. I've spent a couple of
if you've ever been to Zimbabwe, you can appreciate the no work day. Louder. How's that working over there?
Well, I have to tell you, though, Mark.
How many bureaucrats are there at the Department of Energy, honestly?
I don't keep a running count.
Well, of course you don't keep a running count. You have 4 days you only work. Let me ask you this. Just
Sure.
give me a baseball park figure. Give me a ballpark figure.
I would say there's probably in the neighborhood of 1,200 employees there.
Oh, there's got to be more than that at the Department of Energy?
In the building that I work in,
You've got that really big building that looks like it has a moat. Isn't that the one? Up on stilts?
I don't know what you're talking about. I guess it could be described that way.
Don't you know where you work, sir?
I do.
It's like they're getting ready for the big flood.
But if I may get back to my original point.
Yes, get back to your original point that the free market sucks and government's great and you work 4 days.
Exactly.
At a Department of Energy that doesn't produce energy.
But President Obama...
Like the Department of Housing and Urban Development. It doesn't produce housing or urban development.
President Obama has a vision.
All right, sir,
for
you
America.
sound like a parrot. President Obama. May I have a cracker? President Obama. President Obama. First of all, why don't you call him what I call him, in all due respect to the man? There was a time he didn't like his middle name. I called him Milhouse. Say it, Milhouse, say it.
I find that disrespectful, considering that he...
I find it very respectful. Thank you.
Well, I will tell you...
Now,
this,
let me
Mark.
ask you something. What do you do at the Department of No Energy?
I work in the technology department, but I
Wait a
think
minute. Hold on now. Slow down. You're like hit and run. You work in the technology division.
That is correct.
What does the technology division at the Department of Energy do? Figure out more paper shredders? You get the newer paper shredders so you can destroy the applications that are sent there to do more drilling? Is that what the Department of Technology does? Louder.
We have our marching orders, but it doesn't involve anything that you just mentioned.
And what do we do in the Division of Technology?
Mostly,
obviously, 3 days a week we don't do anything. But the 4 that you're there, what do you do?
I'm a database administrator.
Oh, you're a computer guy.
Yeah, but Mark did.
Go ahead, President Obama. Go ahead.
I think once he has an opportunity to implement some of his policies, he's gonna have an opportunity to right some horrible wrongs that have been done over the last several years. The free market system, as I mentioned, cannot sustain itself, but surely because human beings are greedy.
Sir, let me explain something. Nobody's greedier, sir. Nobody's greedier than the government bureaucrat. Nobody's greedier than the politician in Washington, D.C., because all they ever think about is materialism, how to steal it from somebody else. Greed, my friend, is what the socialist is. In the private sector, hold on now, in the private sector, you can be greedy. You can be greedy, and you know what? That greed turns into what? Wealth creation and job creation. See, if there weren't a bunch of people like me out here, sir, who would pay your salary?
Well, Mark,
thank you very much. That's enough. Kill the call, kill the music. I'm getting a headache.